Good morning! Wrestling Inc. Get up, get going. Happy hump day. It is me, your Wrestling Inc. managing editor, Nick Hausman, joined here as I am every Wednesday to talk all the news of the past 24 hours from the wild, wacky, colorful world of professional wrestling. It's our good friend, Brian Wohl. Brian, welcome back to the Wrestling Inc. Daily.
Hey, Nick, great to be back. So excited to talk wrestling today, and we get to talk a little bit about movies.
We do. We get a little movie talk in here today. We're going to talk some pro wrestling. And later on, for those of you listening in audio form, you're going to get to hear what I'm describing as completely batshit off the rails meat sauce interview with Virgil. That it's 25 minutes. You're going to get the whole thing here today. If you're watching us in video form, first of all, jump in the comment section. We're going to be pulling comments up all show long here, like Jackson Darkness Gaming here that says Nick should be an announcer with his long on-key good morning. Book me. Pay me. I'm all about it. Give me that F money. That's going to be a phrase you're going to hear a lot in that Virgil interview. Here, you know what? I'll tell you, I wrote the headlines, my suggested headlines that I sent to Raj this morning. I was like, here's some headlines I think would be good. You want to hear the headlines coming out of my Virgil interview?
Yes, please.
So I don't know if all of these are going to make it to print, but these are what I pitched this morning. So one is Virgil talks his love of meat sauce ahead of mobile game release. That's pretty tame, okay? Then we get to Virgil claims he made Hulk Hogan's career and is responsible for the NWO. He also comments on a possible NXT involvement, claiming there's going to need to be some really big money to make that happen. He talks about possible big money matches in his future. I think there's some names in there that will surprise you. And my favorite here in this, I guess I don't want to read all the headlines. We'll give away too much of it. But there's actually a very genuine moment amongst this cacophony of noise and meat sauce where for like 60 seconds, Virgil actually it's very reflective and emotional about Paul Orndorff. And it's like, I took it. You say that I could get people to open up to me. This was like hard. This was like granite stone, trying to find, and there was like a 60-second blip there where I bring up Paul Orndorff, and it gets real with Virgil there for a moment. So
I'm looking forward to that, but I am also looking forward to all the meat sauce from Virgil. I hope you guys become a meme.
Dude, this thing is wild. I did my best to play my role as like straight man journalist and keep asking the questions I had written down, but some of this stuff is just so out there. Like, you are going to be blown away. So again, if you're listening in audio form, you're going to get Virgil here in a little bit. If you're watching us live in video form, 56 minutes from now, every day, 1 p.m. Eastern, noon Central, we debut whatever the latest content, interview, conversation of the day is over on the Wrestling Inc. YouTube channel, and you'll get me and Virgil today. Very excited about this one. At the end of the show, we'll dive into the mailbag. We're going to talk about Buddy Murphy, but let's get to it here. News you can use, news will leave a bruise. At WrestleVotes, reporting that WWE has some cool and exciting things planned for this coming weekend. It was also said that fans can expect a surprise or two, and with fans coming back, it is said to truly be a pivotal time in recent WWE history. What surprises could you foresee in the wings here? What do you think could grab you out of left field, Brian?
I mean, I think it would be great to see Cardi B as soon as possible.
Wow.
I know there's been rumors about Cardi B at SummerSlam. We need some star power ASAP.
Yeah.
And WWE needs a shot in the arm. Things have been feeling real stale. We need fans back this Friday. It's coming. I'm so hyped. Yeah. But I think we need some Cardi B to move the needle here.
Wow, you went the Cardi B direction. That's really surprising. Okay. All right.
Yeah, I mean, wrestlers are important, but let's get some headlines.
You think like what, sitting ringside, Money in the Bank, something like that, just a little tease, or maybe a backstage vignette where she like comes over and compliments Sasha Banks or something like that? Is that what you're envisioning?
I think sitting ringside, maybe at this Friday's SmackDown, and maybe there's an interaction.
Okay.
We've got Carmella in the main of challenging for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Cardi B has mentioned Carmella in her tweets before. That's what I'm looking for.
Okay. I was thinking more in the wresler vein. Obviously, I think a Becky Lynch, right, is kind of a layup. We're gonna get somebody on this Friday night. Goldberg. I don't know if Goldberg moves it but here's the thing with Goldberg, right? mainstream audiences love Goldberg. Like ESPN, all that stuff, they'll pick up a Goldberg appearance. I feel like a Goldberg appearance might be in the wings here this weekend too.
It's possible. Yeah, old people love Goldberg. But when are we going to get young people to watch this show?
It's a great question. Well, Becky Lynch caters more to the young crowd, right? So
I'd be down for that. Her Instagram has her looking really fit. She's been putting out some pictures of her training. Looking good.
She's been down at the Performance Center, So, I mean, I don't think that Becky Lynch's return is that far off. And obviously, the other big return everybody's buzzing about right now is John Cena. So we could talk a little bit about what we know about John's situation right now. Multiple sources are reporting that the filming of Argylle in Europe, which is John's next movie, is starting next month. It's not going to affect his SummerSlam schedule. Fightful saying the working plan is for Cena to return on the July 23rd SmackDown episode. That's scheduled to take place from Cleveland, Ohio. It's going to be the post Money in the Bank episode. It was noted that Cena could return sooner, but as of yesterday, the plan was for Cena to make his long-awaited WWE return on the July 23rd SmackDown on Fox. The Mattman podcast saying Cena's movie schedule is a non-issue. He is expected to be at SummerSlam. The Observer saying that Cena's filming schedule not expected to be a hurdle. Whatever's planned for SummerSlam is still a go. What I think is maybe not so coincidental, the flood of all of these reports reaffirming to everybody John Cena is on the horizon. And James Gunn, the director of Argylle, did go to Twitter, or not the director of Argylle, the director of Peacemaker. He said that they've officially wrapped in Vancouver, and that was Cena's last project. So it would seem he is, in this moment, totally free of all obligations, is what I'm.
Yeah. So like John's leading Peacemaker, but in Argylle, that's an ensemble piece. It's directed by Matthew Vaughn, who did Kick-Ass. He did X-Men First Class, and it's produced by his company. In Argylle, you're going to have Samuel L. Jackson, Catherine O'Hara, Bryan Cranston, Bryce Dallas Howard, Sam Rockwell, Henry Cavill, and John Cena. Wow. Dua Lipa is signed on to act and provide original music for the score. So I feel like Dua Lipa is somebody that's also kind of on the horizon, on WWE's radar. She's very hot right now. So like, let's say Cardi B falls through, look for Dua Lipa. John Cena, we had issues in the past with The Rock tearing his abs at WrestleMania, and that forced Hercules to shut down filming years ago. And that really made things difficult for wrestlers who are also doing films to get insured when they film.
Right.
In this case, with John Cena having a smaller part in this film, regardless of whatever may happen at SummerSlam, he'll still be able to go for Argylle.
Yeah, you would hope, but avoiding injury would seem to be priority right now for John Cena, right? Mm-hmm. And it looks like Roman Reigns is the trajectory they're going here. I think it's a good, safe assumption here with this Friday after Money in the Bank. I think again, I'm expecting a Becky or some other return that's not Cena this Friday, though we could always be very surprised by that. I think it's a good way to kind of pivot out of Money in the Bank and start that build to SummerSlam to have Cena come in the week after. I was thinking in the back of my head the other day when I was thinking about John trying to avoid injury. The reason that the last match he had, I think, worked so well for everybody was he was like on a set. Remember, it was like a cinematic match with him and Bray Wyatt. I wonder if we can completely take off the table that John could do some kind of cinematic match that they would present and have him do kind of a build in the ring, more promo stuff, live in person, leading up to a very physical, over-the-top thing that you could have more control over than kind of an somewhat uncontrollable environment sometimes with the pro wrestling bout,
That would be an interesting thing. We haven't seen Roman Reigns in a cinematic match, and how that would go for like an actual championship.
Yeah. Well, I like this right in here. You brought up Cardi B. Rob Humphrey says WWE needs to get Samuel L. Jackson.
Everyone loves Samuel L. Jackson. That's true.
Yeah. Our own Jesse Collins here. Hi, Jesse. Thank you for tuning in here today. Jesse says injuries are more likely as you get older. Have a lot of muscle mass and don't bump frequently. Rock, Triple H, Undertaker, very injury prone despite working part-time. And I agree. And that's kind of why and I see here Praddock here saying, no, I don't like cinematic matches. But, again, it's like trying to appease all sides here. We know that it was very well received last time around. There's kind of an appetite, I think, for those matches when done correctly at the moment, I don't take it off the table that somebody would maybe say, hey, maybe it's smarter to put John out in a graveyard or something,
And they could do, maybe a combination of live and cinematic. Think of like
Sure.
the Backlot Brawl.
Yeah.
It's possible.
Okay. I dig that. I dig the Backlot Brawl thing, kind of what they did at Stadium Stampede as well, where they did a lot of backstage stuff that ended in the ring. Okay.
Yeah, that's possible. Anything where you can control the variables, I don't see why not.
Hey, well, we're talking surprises. I mean, The Fiend has been out of sight, out of mind for a while now. Right?
That's true. Yeah.
How
would be nice to see him back.
Yeah, and we never really got to see Fiend Cena in front of fans, right? Like, is this where you pick it back up? Cena comes back after Money in the Bank. He's in the ring, lights out, choo, 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 choo. And The Fiend is back, and we kind of get to finish what we started there with those two. Maybe. I don't know.
That would be cool, but I would wonder what happens with Roman then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. I think I don't know, man. Like, I'm still so, like, I don't know. Like, with the Roman tease from Paul Heyman with the Brock Lesnar return where he changed his Facebook thing. And I know Paul could just be getting everybody talking and stuff, but I don't know. Like, Brock Lesnar's still in the back of my mind one way or another, whether it's with Lashley, who is like off the chain right now, or maybe back over with Roman. I don't know. He's another wild card out there when you think about surprises.
This is my like weird pie in the sky thing is what if Seth Rollins wins Money in the Bank this Sunday and then cashes in on Roman at SummerSlam to do like a repeat of WrestleMania 31.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Maybe.
I think that would be so funny. And just see where that goes. Because they keep hinting at those two clashing. And it's like, when's that going to happen? It would be, Roman keeps getting his moment robbed by Seth Rollins. He's never gotten that win over Seth. So like maybe it's time.
Well, and I could see Seth being like a triple threat kind of figure here in any situation with Roman. Like they've kind of they're protecting Seth in a way where at any moment, if something happened or a plan had to change, I feel like they know that he's the break the glass guy for Roman Reigns, where you could do something with Seth and Roman, and they don't quite want to get to it yet, but they're gonna let Seth continue to look strong just in case they need to maybe go back there,
Yeah, and it's somebody that we can't let out of our minds. We have to keep Seth Rollins in mind.
We have here Rocky Bias saying, yes, Seth is definitely winning Money in the Bank for the second time. Praddock saying Seth Rollins versus Edge at SummerSlam.
Yeah, I feel like that's destined to happen too. But don't forget WrestleMania 31. Seth faced Randy Orton, lost, and then went on to defeat Roman and Brock.
We see here John Koss saying Cena should return as a heel, help show, boost up other talent. I don't know with what they got going with Roman right now, if it would be the right time for Cena heel turn, right?
No, it's not. It's Roman's time as a heel. Let him do it in front of people. He's ready.
Yeah. Well, Jesse Collins here saying in regards to Cena's next match, it could more likely be a tag match with Edge and Cena getting together to take on Roman and an Uso. Cena could then take fewer bumps. Cinematic matches with 40,000 fans is a no-go in my opinion. So maybe a hiatus on these cinematic matches as we get used to doing things in front of fans. But man, yeah, Cena tag matches at big events, that's not uncommon.
Yeah. It would be a great way to protect him. And, I like tag team wrestling. I think they could have a good tag match, especially with Edge. Edge and Cena have a long history together. I think that would be fun to see them together.
Frank Petito saying Rollins is going to win Money in the Bank, try to cash in the same night, get pinned by Roman, setting up a match with Edge at SummerSlam.
Oh, that's a cool thought. That's also possible.
I also like that. All right, well, we're going to take a break here. I'm looking at Money in the Bank, SummerSlam, John Cena stuff. If you have more thoughts, feel free to jump in the comment section. But let's talk about NXT last night, man. What a really a cornucopia of different things kind of show last night. There was a lot to like. There was just a lot in general going on with the show. We'll start with the main event. Karrion Kross attacked Samoa Joe after Kross had defeated Johnny Gargano. Joe raised Kross's hand. Scarlett got in between them, and they started to have words. Joe turned, started to walk out of the ring. Kross attacked him, locked in that Kross jacket submission hold, yelled at him. Joe started to fade. Kross let go. Joe fell flat. Kross and Scarlett stood tall with Joe with the NXT title belt over their heads as the NXT went off the air. While it's reported that Joe is still not cleared to compete, at least as of late June, he has expressed interest in returning to the ring during a Sports Illustrated interview, and I believe an out-of-character interview with Ryan Satin as well. He has not wrestled since February 2020 due to concussion issues. But man, they teased not just Kross, but you had Adam Cole, you had Pete Dunne, you kind of even had like a little Gargano. Like they set the they set the table for some Samoa Joe matches last night. I find that difficult to believe was not intentional.
If he's not coming back, what the hell are they doing? Because like it seemed like they were teasing Joe with everybody, and then he got physical at the end. So I was like, oh well, he must have been approved for something. So I'm excited, ready for Samoa Joe. Bring it back. Let's do it.
Yeah, and that first big takeover, with fans back and stuff. I mean, SummerSlam weekend. See, because I'm not sure I'm going to SummerSlam weekend because they're only doing SummerSlam. And they don't really do any press stuff. It's just like, hey, does Raj want to fly me out to Vegas on a very expensive weekend with the Pacquiao fights going on to just go sit in the stands and watch the show? Not totally sure. Because TakeOver that weekend, I think, is also going to be in Orlando. But I do believe they're going to have more fans and stuff there for that. And for your first big takeover of the post-pandemic era, welcoming back Samoa Joe to take on Karrion Kross, that's a huge marquee match,
I mean, fans are going to go crazy for Samoa Joe. We love Samoa Joe.
Yeah.
He's one of the most beloved, superstars in wrestling. Everybody wants to see him succeed.
And the thing I've been saying about NXT for a little while here now, kind of post Wednesday Night War, is that they've really kind of lost a little bite. There's been a lot there, but there's something missing. The main event picture has been clouded with like the same people for a long time now. Joe feels like maybe the spark that's going to kind of help change that and make Tuesday nights much more must watch again because of the unpredictability. I just think whatever they're doing with Joe right now is working, bottom line.
Not only that, but you have a guy who has experience against, Sting, Kurt Angle, Brock Lesnar. For him to be working with the folks in NXT, what a great treat for every wrestler there.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we have here Alonzo Smith. Samoa Joe definitely provoked last night. Samantha saying it looks like Samoa Joe is cleared. It certainly does look like it. And Praddock saying Samoa Joe is going to beat Karrion Kross. My favorite of the teases, and Kross and Joe is obviously the centerpiece right now. I loved the Pete Dunne exchange, though, where he just turns around and Pete Dunne's standing there and he's just kind of staring at Joe. Joe's like, what? And Pete Dunne just goes, and he walks away. And I'm like, that's how you get under Samoa Joe's skin. You don't take him credibly. I was like, wow, you did a lot in like 3 seconds, my friend. That was great. Very good.
Yeah, I'm excited. I want to see all of these matches. I want to see Samoa Joe versus Adam Cole. I'm excited. Want to see these matches.
So, and Jesse Collins here, by the way, saying TakeOver needs to be Samoa Joe versus the 5 people who are currently working programs with him. Didn't we just see Kross have a match like that where he won and like put everybody to waste?
Yes. That was a good match. He just sat on the outside for a while.
And Dino here saying, I'm with you on Pete Dunne. Scoffing at someone as big as Joe. That's a great way to provoke him. All right. Also last night, I see some people here were talking about it as well. Samantha here, I guess, was bringing up this. Mandy Rose. She's returned to NXT. She came to the stage during Saray versus Gigi Dolan. Both competitors stopped. They stared at her. Saray won. Rose later then appeared backstage at with the Robert Stone brand. And this is where it all kind of starts to go haywire. It is wild to me, the Bayley domino effect, Brian. Like they move Bayley she gets removed for 9 months from that spot. Top heel over on SmackDown. Mad scramble to reflush that SmackDown women's division again. You pluck from NXT, and now NXT has openings. Other people get to stand up, get pushed, get changed around. It's pretty wild how quickly all the women are moving around here in the company.
Yeah, but it makes sense. We see Aaliyah getting called up. It seems like Aaliyah, fun heel. She's been in NXT forever. So, and she's had a million gimmicks. So I feel like she has a good shot. She's been able to make things work. Yeah. So hopefully Aaliyah has great success in SmackDown. And I'm incredibly excited for Mandy Rose. I love Mandy Rose. I feel like we've only scratched the surface of what she's capable of. She impressed me so much. I saw her live on an NXT show here in LA in 2017. The fans were heckling her like crazy, and she was able to turn that crowd so fast. She is a hell of a live performer, and I'm excited to see her back in NXT.
Yeah, well, speaking of Aaliyah there, Aaliyah and Jessie Kamea of the Robert Stone brand, they lost to Kaden Carter, Casey Catanzaro. After the match, Aaliyah snapped. She blamed Stone. She attacked him, left him lane, marched out past Kamea. Frankie Monet then, who's been sending these cryptic messages backstage to Robert Stone, came walking out, got Kamea to leave. Monet, Kamea, and Stone were later spotted backstage together and were asked if they will be seeing Aaliyah with the group moving forward. Monet responded, said, the Robert Stone brand is never going to have to worry about Aaliyah again. That's when Rose then appeared, Mandy Rose. She walked up, said it looks like the Robert Stone brand is now under new management. Monet laughed, smiled at her. Stone looked on disappointed. Rose walked away at the end of the segment. And yeah, as you were alluding to, WrestleVote's reporting that it does look like there's going to be a trade here, not between NXT and SmackDown, but NXT and Raw, as it looks like Rose is now in NXT and Aaliyah could have quietly been drafted to Raw following what happened last night on NXT. And truthfully, like, Raw needs, like, as much as you got to reflush the SmackDown women's division to fill the gap of Bayley, the Raw women's division equally, if not more so, in need of top women that can work and be compelling right now.
Yeah, we need heels. We need heels everywhere. Heels, please, more heels.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that. And also, Frankie Monet now kind of taking over the Robert Stone brand. Frankie Monet kind of sliding herself as the number 2 heel in NXT, I feel like. It's like Candice LeRae and her.
Well, and Frankie when she was Taya, right? And Robert Stone when he was Robbie E. Both spent a lot of time around each other in TNA. And so I know there's already a relationship there and there's some chemistry. I'm really looking forward to watch what those two do. And I'm a huge Robert Stone fan. I mean, this guy has completely reinvented himself from this Jersey Shore knockoff thing. Go check out Pop Goes the Country with Thomas T. Hall and Jim Varney from the 1980s. And Jim Varney plays a character called Bobby Brookside. It is like a sketch comedy character that is Robert Stone. And I can't unsee it. And I desperately, and this is a completely separate thought, would like to see Robert Stone relaunch the Ernest franchise. I think he's the man to bring back Ernest P. Worrell. I genuinely believe that.
I've got to look this up. I love Jim Varney.
Dude, I can't unsee the similarities now between Robert Stone and Jim Varney. And I'm a huge Jim Varney fan. And you just kind of look at the way he carries himself. Like, he's very rubbery and like this kind of like cartoon like Jim Varney was. I don't know. Anyway. Robert Humphrey here saying, I'm sorry, why are we talking about Jim Varney? Yes, we are.
Yes, we are. He's amazing.
I see Jim Varney. For those of you that don't know, he was Ernest P. Worrell in the Ernest franchise. I see that in Robert Stone. End of thought. All right. Talking about comedy. Cameron Grimes, now LA Knight's butler. Series of vignettes. You're a comedian. What'd you think here last night?
I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to them going forward. It's very wrestling comedy, so it's a lot of very, small dips into how far they could go. They're really going to drag it out.
Yeah.
But I'd like them to go even further. I did enjoy the makeover on Cameron Grimes, which ended up in just him getting his hair in a ponytail and his beard combed. But it was great.
Because it was kind of weird because I don't really know that they found the game of the bit yet. Like, it felt like they were trying things out, and that's a very inside comedy phrase there. I don't know that everybody but they were trying different things. I liked that Grimes enjoyed being a butler. He liked how he looked. He thought it was fun. But then by the end of the night, he didn't really seem to enjoy being a butler, and he was paying other people to do butler things. And that's where I was like, I kind of wish they'd have taken the first direction and ran with it. I don't know where they're going, but the idea of Grimes like really leaning into enjoying being a butler, I thought was a strong choice. I really did. But by the end of the episode, that's not where they were anymore. So
yeah, I think part of it is we still don't know what makes LA Knight tick. What is his weakness? What hurts his feelings? And we don't know. Like, we were talking about it a week ago. I think I was saying, like, Kurt Angle's thing always was like people saying he sucks when he clearly doesn't suck. He's a gold medalist. What is the thing with LA Knight? What hurts LA Knight's feelings? And how can we see when Cameron Grimes gets a small win on LA Knight? And that is when we'll get those laughs. That's That's what will give us that comedy. We need to find out more about LA Knight. And I'm not sure he knows who he is yet.
Yeah, but I think that Grimes is helping to kind of help him figure that out a little bit. Like, I will give them the benefit of the doubt that they're playing. There is a dynamic here. Hopefully LA Knight finds himself. But yeah, Grimes gets himself. I just want him to pick a direction and run with it. The kid, by the way, Noah, who kicked LA Knight in the shin, maybe moment of the show.
He was great.
Maybe moment of the show. We have Pratik here saying, LA Knight, Grimes, I enjoy. Wonderful. Dina Garofalo, there is so much potential as Cameron Butler dropping food on Knight, hurting his back with a bad massage, etc. Yeah, you can play this out. I love it. All right. And lastly here from NXT last night, the 2021 Breakout Tournament began last night. The first match of the opening round saw Duke Hudson defeat Iki Manjiro. There were several people that came out online after the match last night. I thought both guys did great, but this Duke Hudson fellow really pops. And I love that Wade Barrett was putting him over as somebody he saw himself in the ring. I really thought it helped to elevate this guy a lot last night. I thought he looked like a star.
Yeah, he really did. You know, at 6'5", he's got an imposing figure already. And then seeing him look so great against Ike Manjiro, it was very impressive. Triple H, Shawn Michaels, and Wade Barrett heaping praise on this guy. So it's clear that they're very high on Duke Hudson.
I like Ikeman wrestling in the jacket. I just like that he wrestles in the jacket. I like that you can kind of hide contact with your forearms and stuff because there's just so much cloth flying around. I dug the tarantula coming back. I thought that was really cool.
It was a great reference to Tajiri, who trained him. Mm-hmm. Very fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so a big fan. All right, lastly here, before we get to Virgil in audio form, and again in half an hour, the Virgil interview debuts over on Wrestling Inc.'s YouTube channel, and I highly recommend taking it in. Do not expect some kind of serious journalistic rabbit hole here. It is art. What Virgil and I did is art. That's how I can explain it. All right. Lastly here, TMZ Sports, Candy Cartwright, a.k.a. Samantha Tavel, has dismissed her multi-million-dollar lawsuit against Matt Riddle for sexual assault. Court documents show that Cartwright filed to dismiss the lawsuit on Monday. There is no word yet on if the two sides reached a monetary settlement. The parties, this is from Cartwright's attorney, John Chazwerzinski. The parties have put this in their past and are focused on the future. So the end of this, kind of not a totally satisfying end to this. You know, it's hard to in these situations when you're not really sure where the end result came, because like in the other three cases, because Candy originally had lawsuits against WWE, Evolve, Gabe Sapolsky, and Matt Riddle, because this happened at an Evolve event, but while Evolve was under WWE's umbrella, the judge, the long and the short of it, dismissed WWE, Evolve and Gabe kind of one at a time because there wasn't really grounds under different circumstances. This was more of a personal battle between Riddle and Cartwright. Riddle had moved to have the case dismissed. It did not get dismissed. Now, for Cartwright to have decided to dismiss the case, unlike the other three suits that were dismissed not of her own volition, something had to happen here. Either it was monetary, or it was a conversation, or it was something else. But it's just not a very satisfying end to not know exactly, what happened here with this case.
As far as I know, Matt Riddle is still represented by that lawyer that he's had for a while. And if you read any of the statements written by this lawyer, they're not great. And I doubt that.
What do you mean by not great?
They were full of grammatical errors, spelling errors. They just didn't even make sense. This dude, I feel like the only answer that's in my head, and I'm speculating, is that they reached some sort of settlement. I hope that she feels good and is able to move on. It's clear that something bad happened, and there was disagreement on what happened. But I don't think it was because she had a terrible case. I think it was they both want to move on because it's awful. It's no fun for an accuser, and I think we need to keep her in mind through all this.
All right. Well, thank you, Brian, for joining me to talk the all the news at the top of the show. Thank you to Virgil and the fine folks at Meat Sauce Madness. You could go download this game. Like, again, I guess I didn't put over enough like the context of why I was talking to Virgil. Brian, there's a mobile game out called Meat Sauce Madness where you can play as Soul Train Jones as he battles various meat sauce and breadstick related opponents. And you can get that now.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, good for Virgil and good for us, really.
I haven't had the chance. I haven't had the time. I want to download it and play it because I'm like fascinated, especially after talking to Soul Train Jones himself, Virgil. But man, wow.
I mean, if you do come to SummerSlam, you can download the game and play it while you're waiting in the airport for your flight.
There you go. That's an excellent thing to do. Maybe I'll play it on the toilet in the morning. I do games on my toilet.
Meat Sauce Madness.
Meat Sauce Madness on the toilet, people. That's gross. All right. Let me pull up the daily poll here. So today's poll question stemmed from Chris Van Vliet's interview with Buddy Murphy. Now, there were a couple items that came out of Buddy Murphy's interview that I thought I'd bring up here. First, he said he wasn't comfortable kissing Aaliyah Mysterio. I'm not going to read the entirety of what he said, but this is a line I thought kind of summed up his thoughts. I was very blunt with them. I can't pursue her. If I do, I'm a creep. I'm a pedo, as people say on the internet. If she goes for me, she's an empowered woman that knows what she wants. And it's a much longer statement, but the bottom line is Murphy makes it very clear he was not comfortable with any of this. But he does say that the Mysterios seemingly were fine with it. So he kind of just did what he had to do for his job. Thoughts?
I think Buddy Murphy is a good soldier, and I am so excited to see him, in another promotion, finally taking advantage of his talents.
And also in the interview, he praised his ex-girlfriend, Alexa Bliss, for helping him acclimate in America as he came in from out of the country, saying, thanks for the kind word. Or she responded to him on Twitter saying, thanks for the kind words, Matt. Always been there, and I always will be there for you. Can't wait to see what you do next. So this is a lot of traffic. I guess there's a lot of people that are just like fascinated by a relationship that can end mutually fine.
Isn't that nice? Adults being adults. Yes. We can do it, maybe. I'm trying.
I think the wrestling fans, I think that just is like, they're like, oh, I got to rubberneck this. I never see this happening,
I mean, this is basically a handshake, that reluctant handshake in the middle of the ring that everyone loves to see, but it's on the internet.
All right, at Wink Daily, WINC Daily. That is the Twitter account to follow. We're almost at 1,100 followers, which is like more than I ever expected when we launched this show, to be over 1,000. So go give us a follow over there. You can find the daily polls. Today's poll question: where do you most want to see Buddy Murphy next? AEW, ROH, New Japan, or somewhere else? Over 300 votes here in just the last hour. 42.5 AEW, 31.9 New Japan, 19.3 Ring of Honor, and 6.3 somewhere else. Where would you like to see Buddy Murphy next, Brian?
See, part of me goes like Ring of Honor, New Japan, but also part of me goes Impact. Okay, I feel like Impact is missing a type of guy like Buddy Murphy, and Buddy Murphy is somebody that could become the top guy in Impact very quickly. And we don't really get to see Buddy Murphy in that position in any of these other companies. Maybe Ring of Honor, maybe. But I feel like he'd get lost in the shuffle in AEW. I feel like there's too many guys that have priority. But I want to see Buddy Murphy and what he can do, as a top guy somewhere, and with a story where he's not dating a teenager.
I just feel like with Impact is not really where you go to like get back on the map anymore. I feel like Impact is really a one-act show right now. It's Kenny Omega and then whatever Kenny Omega is doing, and then everything else is kind of lost in the shuffle. And I don't think Buddy would really get his shine there. Ring of Honor, though, I do agree with you. Like, I think especially with the pure wrestling division right now, I think he'd excel there. But then you look at their main event picture right now, and you got Bandito as the world champion over in Ring of Honor. And
awesome.
How straight fire would a Bandito Buddy Murphy match for the Ring of Honor championship be, right?
That would be so good. I'm looking forward to it. I couldn't get tickets to PWG to see him back out here. They sold out in like 10 minutes. So, you know, oh well. But I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully I can get into some sort of local show to see these guys soon.
Yeah. Ring of Honor for me is what I went with. New Japan would be compelling, but just it's a tough egg to crack right now because like it's so difficult with travel and the way that there's just the pandemic is not under control over there like it is over here. I feel like Ring of Honor AEW, I'm sure he'd do fine, but I'm with you, man. Like, how many more names can you pile in all at once and keep them all compelling? It's rough, you know? Rough.
Yeah, and you know, that doesn't mean he can't join AEW down the line. You know, when Rampage launches on Friday nights and Dynamite is in full swing back on Wednesdays and there's a full touring schedule, yeah, maybe there's a place for him. But in the meantime, might as well do Ring of Honor, AEW, or New Japan. You know, even a temporary shot at Impact. You know, we haven't seen Buddy Murphy against somebody like Sami Callihan. What could that look like? I don't know.
Yeah, I just see, and I think maybe I'm a little more sold too because Mike Bennett, we just had him on the show recently, and he's like, man, I'd love to have Buddy Murphy over here, and like the fact that I can hear in his voice like how much he'd love to see what he could do in that division really kind of sold me on it. But
yeah.
we see Noah Gilberto 19. I'd love to see him AEW, perfect fit. J.R. Owen 619. I think New Japan is best, and AEW ROH Impact the least of the options for them. L. Kingsman. Matthew Murphy is going to end up in AEW to feud with Malachi Black. Maybe. More write-ins for AEW. A couple for Impact. Another one for ROH. A couple for Impact. Then we go over to the comment section here. Rocky Baya. New Japan Pro Wrestling is where they see them. And let's see here. Antonio Garcia saying we need a strong product all around ROH and New Japan. Samantha QT, I think if Murphy goes to AEW, gets lost in the shuffle with all the stars they have. Absolutely. And you know what? We're going to end here with Praddock's question. Hey, Nick and Brian, in WWE main roster pay-per-view, will they go back to will they bring back unique stage sets for every pay-per-view? Now, Praddock asked this question a lot, Brian. He's very into unique sets at WWE pay-per-views. And I think they will go back to them. What do you think, Brian?
I don't think they will. I think that is done with the advent of LED screens on every inch of the set. I think WWE is going to kind of stick with that. It seems like they're cutting costs, but
I don't know, man. I think these first 6 months of shows back on the road, these things are going to be a goddamn spectacle. I'm thinking bears. I'm thinking fireworks. I'm thinking, flyovers. I
hope so.
Well, they're going to want to make so much noise to make it undeniable that this is the thing to spend your money on after you can finally get out of your house. I'm expecting big, big, big. And I think it's very interesting. It's kind of a final thought here as we roll into this Friday on SmackDown. Becky Lynch, I think, is my strongest pick for a surprise this Friday on SmackDown. But if Becky comes back this Friday and John Cena comes back the Friday after, those are two huge returns week after week. And I think SmackDown is going to maybe... Is SmackDown the place where big stars come back now? Like, how does USA feel about that? Right? I mean, it's very glaring how SmackDown has quickly become the A show to USA, right?
Oh, yeah, 100%. And also, I'm sure USA feels weird about everything. Well, I mean, NBC Universal feels weird about everything. We had the Icons Lex Luger special being delayed. We had the Kevin Nash special being delayed. So many things just seem to be on hold when it comes to WWE and NBC Universal.
Yeah. Samantha QT here. Maybe Finn Balor will show up. If he does, I bet it's on SmackDown. And Praddock, you're saying you're absolutely right. Yeah, I just, you could do Becky this week, John next week, Goldberg the week after, Brock Lesnar after that. I mean, you don't have to put everybody this Friday night on SmackDown, but these big returns, I mean, maybe Brock does go to Raw to face Lashley. I mean, somebody's got to be the big elephant over at that circus, right?
Yeah, well, I did see a couple of advertisements saying with Kofi as champion for upcoming house shows for Raw brand. So, I mean, maybe we see Kofi Brock 3 or 2. I mean, Kofi Brock 2.
I saw that too, and part of me said that like WWE intentionally changed listings to make Kofi seem more credible. That's just me with my Carney hat on, but we'll see. I mean, it definitely added a lot more questions going into this weekend's event where I think everybody thought it was a bygone conclusion that Lashley was going to retain. Again, you're going to have fans. You want to have a big moment. I mean, if you're not going to take the belt off of Roman, one of these big heels maybe losing in front of the fans for the first time. Maybe it is Kofi. I don't know.
I mean, I don't know how people wouldn't explode for Kofi. Everyone loves Kofi.
It just is like, I don't know, like that last promo on Monday night was maybe the best promo Bobby Lashley's ever cut, right? Mm-hmm. And he's so imposing and he's so physical right now. And it's been kind of like he lost his friends. Now he's kind of at odds with MVP. He's a man on an island. He's very Macbeth in this moment, right? Tomorrow, that whole thing. Well, you know what? It's like compared to Macbeth, I guess he does lose. Macbeth dies.
Well, I feel like this is where Lashley loses and turns face.
Oh. Yeah. By what? Confronting Brock Lesnar on Monday night or something like that? Or
yeah, we'll see. We'll see Lashley start to realize that he's been influenced by all these negative things, and there was a long time where WWE wanted Lashley as a babyface. They had that run against Sami Zayn that ended up so terribly with Lashley's sisters and all that stuff.
That's right.
But Lashley is an American hero. He's a Marine. The guy looks amazing. He's got a lot of things that are very compelling about him as a babyface. So I think they might try Lashley as a babyface again. They're clearly kicking the tires on Baron Corbin turning face very soon. So I think Lashley would be the other big face turn that we would see on the horizon.
King's falling, right? So Shakespearean. When I tell
you'll love to see it.
When I tell people Vince McMahon is the modern day Shakespeare, I know a lot of people roll their eyes, but who else is writing scripts 52 weeks a year, presenting both comedy and drama to the best of their abilities to the masses, yada, yada, yada.
And with no punctuation.
Yeah. Vince, yeah, you're right. You're right. When men stand alone in the middle of the stage doing monologues to the crowd, right? Where else do you see that outside of Shakespeare, right? So
it's the only place where we can still have bear baiting.
All right. Well, that brings us to the end of the show. I'll be back tomorrow. I'll be joined by Paul Pratt, a.k.a. Pollo Del Mar. We'll see who we can get. I don't know. It'll be Paul or Pollo, one or the other. I have two names.
Newly verified Pollo Del Mar.
Huh? I saw that. I got to get – what do you do now? You go on the back end, you just send them your driver's license, and you're like, hey, I'm famous. Then they give you the blue check mark. Is that what happens now?
If it worked, then Ryback would have his too.
Okay. I'm gonna shoot my shot. We'll see if they take me or not. I was looking into it. I was like, oh, I never knew the process. I looked into it. Maybe I'll try. So anyway, tomorrow I'll be back with Paul or Pollo. We're gonna have Scott Fishman here tomorrow. He's gonna have a conversation with Velvet Sky. So that'll be over on the YouTube channel as well. If you like the Wrestling Inc. Daily, support WrestlingInc.com. We're on all your favorite social media platforms. We go live with the Wrestling Inc. podcast at night after all the big shows, and the Wrestling Inc. podcast also, like the Daily, available on all major podcast platforms. Brian, what do you want to put over here to wrap up the show today?
Oh, man, if you're in the Los Angeles area, get your tickets as soon as possible to see me open for Lou Berger at Dynasty Typewriter Theater, the historic Dynasty Typewriter Theater. Shirley Temple did her tap dancing shows there. It's been there forever. So many famous comedy specials have been taped there, and maybe this one will be taped too. So do your best. Get out. Come see me. Otherwise, follow me at Brian Wohl, and you can keep up with me across the internet.
Was the Octavarius Battle of the Belt stuff? Is there video of that?
There is video of it. I have it. It's never been released, but yeah, there is video of the entire 3-show run that we did together with Octavarius, you, Ego Robert Anthony, Colt Cabana. That was a heck of a run.
I feel like we should drop that somewhere, right? Right now, it's not just anything, Brian.
I guess I don't know where I'd put it, but yeah, there's 3 like 2-hour shows of us doing Battle for the Belt back in 2011.
Okay, all right, food for thought. I'm just putting it out there. Kick the tires in any direction you like, Brian. I, for one, would love to see those back out into the world. Those shows were a ton of fun. So anyway, I am Nick _Hausman. Over on Twitter. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I'll talk to you tomorrow. And remember, if you winked, you didn't miss it.